This webinar is titled Informed Voting, a Sacred Duty of a Free People, and it's a part of a larger series on voting. As I was doing research on this series, I came across these encouragements to vote. If you don't vote, who speaks for you? This acrostic on the word vote: voice, democracy, accountability, judgment. I like this accountability and judgment part, and even though we're a republic, we're a democratic republic. I vote because it's my right, it's my responsibility, and it's my children's future. Well, what do our actions say? Well, if you take a look at the percentages of adults that vote, this is what we see. In presidential elections, 36% of all adults vote. In non-presidential elections, the number drops to 26%, and in local elections, it's as low as 4%. So to reverse those percentages, 60, 75, even 90% of the people feel this way. There's no difference between the candidates anyway. Maybe they're a part of the apathy party, which is like whatever, or they don't know or don't care. Plato said this: the price of apathy is to be ruled by evil men. For many people, this bumper sticker speaks the truth about today, and yet they're not taking the opportunity to make an informed vote. Which leaves us with this last quote: apathy, our country's leading cause of whatever. Looking at these percentages one more time in a more detailed way, we find that the percentage of people that are actually putting candidates in office are as follows. For the presidential election, 18% of the adults in our country are electing the president candidates in presidential elections that the rest of the adults in the country and children live under. For non-presidential years, 13% of adults elect the leaders for the rest of us, and in local elections, just 2% of the adults elect the leaders that the rest of us have to live under. So you might look at these numbers and say, man, we need to get more voters out. We need to rally people to vote. Well, that's not quite the solution. People that simply vote but don't have an informed vote just increase the whatever. It's like this sign here. The car's driving by and it says, vote for Harry. And the driver says, that settles it. I'm voting for Harry. An uninformed vote is of no value. In fact, can be used to manipulate people away from their own freedom and liberty. Let's take a minute to go back through the centuries and hear from the people that labored to put our constitutional documents in place and to provide us with the freedom and liberty we enjoy today. John Adams, the second president, on addressing apathy, said this: posterity, that's you and I, you will never know how much it cost the present generation to preserve your freedom. I hope you will make good use of it. He continued, if you do not, I shall repent in heaven, he says whimsically, that I ever took half the pains to preserve it. I oftentimes summarize this quote in this fashion: cherish these liberties, you will never know how much they cost us. Thomas Jefferson, the third president, said the informed vote is the safeguard of freedom. The elective franchise, that is the vote, if guarded as the ark of our safety, will peaceably dissipate all combinations to subvert a constitution dictated by the wisdom and the resting on the will of the people. And he uses the word ark intentionally above as an allusion to the biblical story of Noah's Ark that protected humankind and animals from the tempest that engulfed the globe. And he's making the point that the informed vote is the same safeguard for freedom and liberty. John Jay, the first Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, said voting is a gift from heaven. The Americans are the first people whom heaven has favored with an opportunity of deliberating upon and choosing the forms of government under which they live. And so voting is a part of that gift to living under these free constitutions and free principles. Alexander Hamilton, first Secretary of Treasury, said voting should be held in high value. A share in the sovereignty of the state, which is exercised by the citizens at large, and voting at elections is one of the most important rights of the subject, and in a republic ought to stand foremost in the estimation of the law. And informed voting is also a social duty and sacred trust. Now we're a few decades later, Daniel Webster, who was a congressman, senator, secretary of state in the early 1800s, said this: impress upon children the truth that the exercise of the elective franchise, that is the vote, is a social duty, of as solemn a nature as man can be called to perform, that a man may not innocently trifle with his vote. He goes on, every elector is a trustee as well for others as himself, and that every measure he supports has an important bearing on the interest of others as well as his own. So these founding fathers are pleading with us to understand the sacredness and the responsibility of stewarding an informed vote. Cherish these liberties. You will never know how much they cost us. As we get into this series, I hope that you'll look at this again and consider the value of your vote in sharing this with others. This is U.S. Civics Training. Thanks for listening. Hello, this webinar is titled Informed Voting, a Sacred Duty of a Free People, and it's a part of a larger series on voting. This webinar is titled Informed Voting, a Sacred Duty of a Free People, and it's a part of a larger series on voting.